What is your official job title at the planetarium?
I'm the Meteorite Collections Coordinator. That's my title. I take care of the collection of meteorites that have been at the planetarium since the 1960s, since it basically opened, and they have been off public display for over 20 years. So we're bringing them back out, showing them to people, and we're working on grants right now to get a new display system so that they can be put back on public display.
How long have you been involved with that?
2 years now, so I'm in my second year of working with the planetarium on that.
How did you first get involved?
There was an email sent out that the planetarium was looking for some assistance, and they were looking for students to fill some key roles to take care of things, and one of those was the meteorite collection and also the exhibits. And I sent an email to the director saying, I'm not a student, but if you're interested in some volunteer help or something, I'd be more than happy to help out with my background in meteorites and that, and also working on displays or exhibits. And we met, and I've been doing it ever since then.
What is your background in meteorites?
I've been collecting and studying meteorites for around 10 years, and I collect a broad spectrum of meteorites. But I enjoy researching them and learning more every day.
Are there any meteorites that stick out in your collection?
I have a collection of Michigan meteorites. Michigan has 10 meteorites total. 5 of them were observed falls and 5 of them were finds. In my collection I have a half a dozen of the 10. And so they probably stick out the most.
And what do you hope this eventual display will look like in the planetarium?
It'll look attractive and enticing to the public. The planetarium has thousands of kids that go through it every year, and it'll be easily accessible by the students and understanding because it'll be a drawer type system with meteorites on display on the top of it, but they'll be able to open up drawers and experience different aspects of meteorites from the moon or Mars, Northwest Africa, how to collect meteorites, things of that nature. So we're really looking forward to a dynamic display.
Are you personally involved with the construction of that display?
I'm not, but I was involved with the writing of the grants, and I'll be overseeing parts of the project as well, including design, working with a designer, and writing the labels for it.
What was the planetarium like when you first got here?
When I first got here as a kindergartner,
Sure.
obviously size and scope is different depending on how tall we are and how young we are. But the planetarium was a place that you could explore. You'd walk in and there was a moon against one wall that would rotate at the time. A large, very large, oversized globe in the center of the planetarium. There were displays and exhibits, a spacesuit, and things like that at the time. And then when you enter the dome area for the planetarium shows, obviously the star shows are the best. But I have been at the planetarium numerous times over the decades, either with my kids or accompanying school groups for shows, and it's changed over the years. That's why we're working on getting the meteorites back on public display to give us more displays out in the main area. And when I came back in to talk with Shannon 2 years ago, the meteorite collection that had been in storage for a long time was in tubs wrapped in newspaper. And so it was almost like a Christmas Day unwrapping them to see what treasures were there. because they had been off display for so long.
So you've been able to see the planetarium sort of change as you've been here throughout the years.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
What are some of the biggest changes you've noticed?
Probably the change in the displays. Trying to get more things that the public can look at when they do come to visit. I think that's probably the biggest change that I've seen. I mean, they've gone through some remodeling and things like that, but they've upgraded their system for the shows and things like that, so bringing it into the 21st century more.
Do you have any favorite displays?
I think my favorite display is we recently installed one that includes some dioramas of the Apollo space missions. And I grew up in the era of Apollo. I remember the moon landing and that, so that brings back a lot of memories. And part of that display, we have a lunar meteorite. So, you know, our own moon rock, if you will. But so that's probably the best, is just bringing back those memories of the moon landings and the earlier space flights by NASA.
What was it like watching the moon landing?
Pretty cool. You didn't know what was actually going to happen, and you know, just the anticipation of Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon, someone else being on another body in space that we had never been to before. So you know, I think the anticipation's there for the potential Mars mission over the next 20 years. So, and that'll probably have the same thrill for people, although a much longer journey to get there.
What does a sort of typical day here at the planetarium look like for you?
Oh, for me, as a volunteer, I volunteer a few hours a week. I'll come in and work on the meteorite collection. That may be photographing, doing the informational cards that accompany them, packaging them, making sure we have an outreach kit that goes to schools, that we can go to their science nights and that and share the meteorites with the kids, and the adults find it just as fascinating. But I make sure that that's prepared and ready to go on a regular basis. I am working forward on displays for the planetarium, and one of the displays we'll be putting up yet this year will be one on Wingspan, the Abrams home, the airplane house, and we're going to expand our Abrams exhibit a little bit to give them a little bit more focus. We currently have a display on Ted Abrams that has a number of items in it, but we just want to expand that and include his wife much more, and along those lines. But we'll have the model of the house here and the plans and the history behind it as part of the display. And the other thing I'm working on are a couple more outreach kits for schools that the teachers will be actually able to check out of the planetarium and take them to their classrooms and share them with their students. So maybe we can expand that a bit more. But students or adults alike are fascinated with space rocks.
With school groups, what is it like watching the kids react to everything?
I listen to them when they come in, because I'm usually in the library here, and a noisy bunch usually coming in. But it's not long before they all line up, and they're anticipating. They're seeing, many of them seeing it for the first time, unless they've been here with their parents or with another group. But usually, I think the elementary schools send the students through for a particular grade once a year. So some students may only experience a planetarium once, you know, unless they are here with their families. So there's a lot of anticipation on their part. You can hear some of the students that have been here more than once talk about being able to just relax back in the chair and watch the show. And so I think, you know, when the lights go out in in the dome and the show starts, there's a bit of excitement for the kids.
Do you feel like programs like that have helped the planetarium connect with the community at large?
Oh, for sure. Space tends to hold a special spot in, I think, everybody's mind. The potential for exploration, what we've already done, what we're still learning, with the International Space Station alive and well and everything that goes on there, and the look to the future. Just within the last few years, there have been so many space programs that have finally, if you will, landed in orbit around either asteroids, Vesta or Ceres with the Dawn mission, or the New Horizons mission to Pluto, that it holds a special spot. So the planetarium plays a big role in that, in promoting space, in promoting going out at night and looking at the stars, which doesn't cost anything, and learning about our solar system, and learning about all the new science that is happening, and how it'll affect the lives of the kids for generations beyond. So yeah, I think the planetarium has a special spot in everybody's heart locally, with the draw that it has.
Do you hope that it also has a better connection to the MSU campus?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think this is truly one of the gems of Michigan State University. And that's why when a few years ago the Meteorite collection wasn't on display, and since in a way it's been rediscovered, and we're really working hard to make it available to the public. The collection that is here is special. It contains 7 out of the 10 Michigan meteorites, and many of them are what's known as the main mass, or a few of them, the main mass being the largest part of that particular meteorite. Yeah, it's important to Michigan State University.
Where would you like to see the planetarium in a few years?
Oh, I'd like to see more exhibits, more displays that hold people's interest, especially hands-on or interactive displays. The planetarium now has touch screens that the students and adults can use when they do come into the planetarium. Getting the meteorite collection back on display, we're hoping that takes place around July of 2019, which would be an anniversary for the landing on the moon. It'd be nice to see a classroom added with monitors and computers that the students could use, so that they could spend maybe a couple of days a week here instead of just coming for a show, to expand their knowledge base and their learning. So it would be really nice to see that.
And what does the planetarium mean to you?
Planetarium gives me an out for creativity a bit, and also for exploring space and science more. I was placed into basically forced retirement following an accident, so I was looking for something to do to fill some time and some space, and so this kind of played right into it. And so I really enjoy coming in here during the week, working on the displays, working on the collection, and also working with the staff here for outreach, for some of the programs they do participate in, for science nights. So it's been enjoyable.
Great. Right, well, you brought a lot of great things along. Can you talk me through those pictures you have first?
Sure. These photographs are of construction of what was known as the Explorer, and that was Ted Abrams' airplane, so that he could take aerial photographs. He's considered the father of aerial photography, and this is construction of the Explorer during 1937. It was built starting in 1936 in Marshall, Michigan. These photographs were actually taken by Abrams during the construction of the plane, and these are a rare glimpse into seeing what actually went on for building this unique aircraft. Some of the other photographs that I have here include Ted Abrams with the Explorer and the pilot. Here it's parked out in front of the State of Michigan Department of Aeronautics hangar at the Capital City Airport. And Ted used a variety of cameras with the aircraft, and he's seen here in this photograph with a variety of the cameras that were utilized. The other thing are just basically different images of the aircraft, because the aircraft was modified through the years. The engine and that were replaced, modified for better performance. There was only one built, so this is the only one. It is actually at the Smithsonian Institution in storage in pieces. It was here in Lansing from the Smithsonian at one point, because they were looking at